Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Happy Thursday, America. We got our guy Thor Nystrom from Mathberry's FantasyLife.com. And we have another glorious batch of Judd's Camp Notes. Judd's Camp Notes. Let's
Thanks, kids.
go.
Always like to hear from the kids. Yeah, so Phil Mackey and I took in the entire padded practice number 2. They practiced in full pads on Monday. They went shorts and shells on Tuesday. Padded practice number 2 off today. And then I'm expecting they're going to be back in pads on Friday. But there is a lot to get to, gentlemen.
There is. And we're going to get to all of it here. We're going to get Thor's reaction to these last few practices through the eyes of Judd's handcrafted camp notes here. MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, though, is here to help us through the hot days of summer, Judd.
They are, and also, if you're thinking about going ductless, call them as well. They're a Mitsubishi Elite Diamond contractor for ductless. If you have an older home like mine, no ductwork, that's no problem. They specialize in smart and efficient ductless installs. And look, keep in mind, these systems aren't cheap, so you want it done right. MSP will help you also make the best decision for your home and budget. That's because you can trust them. Quiet, efficient, just comfort where you need it. MSP has been serving the Twin Cities for more than 100 years. Check them out online. Call MSP.com or give them a call, 651-615-4292. Call MSP.com. Judd's Camp Notes, you can trust them. But when it comes to plumbing, heating, and air, don't trust the sports dad. Trust the people he talks about, MSP.
Well, where do you want to start us here, sports dad? Judd's Camp Notes.
I think so.
Should we break the news to Thor that old Pookie's been a little rough in practice?
Pookie was rough
Pookie is missing. Pookie is missing.
Pookie was rough yesterday. So I've been thinking about this. So we'll get to that. And look, the defense, and this is a yearly theme too. This is not just a Pookie thing. JJ McCarthy is the latest quarterback who has probably been somewhat frustrated, probably more frustrated Kevin O'Connell by the fact that Brian Flores' defense absolutely in padded practices, to a large degree. I talked about this with Chip this morning on Purple Access as well, which we'll post this afternoon. The other thing too is the run plays are the run plays. Like they are sort of done at sort of a half speed. A guy gets bumped and stuff. The pass plays are where you can pin your ears back. So I think where we should start, boys, is this though. Because this is the Vikings versus the Vikings, I think we should start with a defense and how absolutely fantastic. And there is a difference here between, in my opinion, I'll set it up this way. The defense at this time of year, not surprisingly, always looks good. And Brian Flores does love to mix things up on the pass plays, confuse things. But here's where I'll start as I think a sign of real encouragement, okay? And I think Phil will back me up here. What we have seen and where the Vikings defense dominated was they did a 2-minute drill, Thor, at the end of practice on Monday. The defense against the first and second team dominated. And then yesterday in the team drills, the defense was outstanding. And the difference that I see, though, is this, the front. The front. So previously, they love to blitz. They're still blitzing. They're going to blitz. But Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, Grenard now, Van Ginkel now, with a better front, and then a guy that we need to start to talk about, Dallas Turner. That is the difference to me. It's not just the scheme now. It's the beef. It's the guys up front. I've been really, really impressed.
Yeah, the defense, which was so good last year, you made all the personnel improvements to it. And, you're talking about the defensive front. Brian Flores has the craziest play calling tendencies of any defensive coordinator in the NFL, to the point where we've never seen the polarities that he's tossed at opponents in terms of the zero blitzes against the drop eights and everything in between, right? And moving the players around, et cetera. Last year, you were working around a defensive front, whereas now you have one of the better ones in the NFL. And you think about the way that that's going to manifest for play caller as creative as Brian Flores and his ability to create havoc on the quarterback. I mean, you love to see it, even if Pookie has been a victim in recent days.
Yeah, there's a few forces at play here. I think, well, I'm getting ahead of Judd's camp notes here, and I apologize. I'm sure we will circle back and touch on these. But up until yesterday, the Vikings' first-team offensive line didn't have – now, Darisaw mixed in for most of the 11-on-11 stuff yesterday until 2-minute. I think they took him out for 2-minute because it's just a little – it's like you got your work in. So they've been working him back in. Will Fries had not been an every snap participant. Now he's kind of working back in. And then you got a rookie left guard, a brand new center who's weaving his way in here. And by the way, JJ McCarthy not only did not play a regular season snap last year, he missed a lot of real live action practice reps too, potentially. Darnold would have gotten like the bulk up to a certain point unless McCarthy took his job. So it's the offense should be behind the defense. I actually think it'd be a little concerning for the defense if they weren't dominating the first week of camp practice. So you're trying to balance, while the defense looks incredible, I think while giving the offense a little bit of a grace period here over the next 2 or 3 weeks during camp to get more chemistry, McCarthy figuring out the timing of everything. But like, you're not going to face many better and or more confusing defenses in the regular season than the one you're facing in practice right now. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say in terms of both personnel and the play caller, right? I think this is a top 3 defense in the NFL. And you're mentioning the shifting in and out with the offensive line and the people coming back and all this sort of stuff. And then McCarthy getting out there after the year off of the injury, and you have this nasty defense and Brian Flores going deep into the bag of tricks early.
I think we may have lost our guy. Oh no. Frozen Thor.
There he is.
Oh, he's back. Hold on. Go ahead, Dex. You put him back on.
Let's see here. Thor's
He's back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
All right. You tripped out like 10 seconds ago. With just like Flores's confusing defense, etc.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. Like there's the old adage in football that early in the seasons that defenses are the ones who are going to kind of carry the day. Offenses take a little bit longer to catch up, and early on in camp, that's all more the case. So it's not necessarily a surprise. You have the shuffling with the offensive line. JJ's coming off the injury. Not necessarily a surprise, but I think the story is that the Vikings are going to have a top 3 defense in the NFL this coming season.
Yeah. So, Joe, where is that line for Judd's camp notes between, wow, the defense, as expected, is incredible, everything looks great, and then there's like another gray area, and then another line that's, when does the offense need to start looking a lot better than it has the last 3 practices?
May I suggest, because today's an off day, may I suggest today might be one of the more important days of camp, because I think it needs to be discussed. Like, I think, and I know that Flores is going to show things. And look, I mean, the defense, Thor, was working on like choreographing its celebrations yesterday. That's how dominant they were. Dwight McLaughlin picked off a pass from Max Brosmer at one point, and in air quotes, pick 6, right? He ran it across the field to Justin Jefferson to deliver him the ball to be celebrating his pick. Dwight McLaughlin, by the way, just quickly, 3 picks in the past three days. I think he might need some first-team reps. But I think today's going to be a very interesting day in deciding that, because if you look at what the offense is trying to do, you do want them to be prepared, and you don't want to give JJ and company a pass, but you also don't want to be showing exotic blitz packages. I'll give you an example, and we can talk about this guy too, because he's been fantastic. But there was one play, Thor, yesterday in team drills where they brought Byron Murphy Jr. on a blitz, okay? And he basically came up the A gap. So he's a cornerback, and he like stunts and comes up the A gap. And as JJ McCarthy is like literally in his drop back to throw the pass, Byron Murphy Jr. comes in like he's a defensive lineman and bats it down. Now, Byron Murphy, 2 years ago, his first year here, I thought, okay, he's okay. He's fine. If he's here, he's fine. If he's gone, that's fine. Then last year he steps up and sort of, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sign him back, which they did. I'm not going to lie, in camp right now, and, small sample size alert, but he looks absolutely fantastic. But I guess in McCarthy's case, I don't know that showing a cornerback blitz coming up the A gap is going to help him a ton. So I do think that there is a conversation between B-Flow and KO about what they need to do to prepare the offense entirely. Because the other thing too, and unfortunately we lost Thor again, but Phil, the other thing too is the offensive line's new. And as you just said, Darrisaw's just back. And the interior is new. So you do want to get them some cohesiveness. I don't know that an ass kicking every day of camp is the best thing.
Right.
I do think it's a good thing to get them some live reps, and the bullets flying is fine. But there's a happy medium between, okay, that was a really good spirited practice, and the defense just basically schooled the offense by showing them things they're not going to see.
Is that a question? I'm trying to think. I mean, with Cousins, it was never a thing. Darnold, I mean, is like, would this be the first time in the Kevin O'Connell era where that question would even be posed?
No, Cousins complained about this.
That's right, he did complain.
Cousins complained about this. He basically said, "I'm seeing looks I won't see."
Well, in 23 he complained about.
Yes,
it. Flores is first.
And the inference though was, "You're showing me looks I'm not going to see. I want to see looks I'm going to see." And we sort of chalked that up to Kirk being Kirk. And JJ McCarthy, by the way, will not complain publicly, at least. No. Like he did a press conference on Wednesday and had some very interesting quotes done before practice. But JJ McCarthy, I have not seen him pout. I have not seen him bitch and moan. He is going to say, "I'm going to handle it. It might not go well." But I think from O'Connell's perspective, it probably becomes at least a discussion. And I also think this, though, if this is going to keep up, the most important days of training camp, and I think we brought this up yesterday possibly, are going to be the joint practices with the Patriots.
Yeah, and it might be that those are actually easier defenses to deal with than the one that you're facing right now. I mean, it's a top 5 defense that added Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen to the front. And there was a play yesterday where I think it was Hargrave literally pushed Ryan Kelly, who's an excellent pass protecting center, a veteran pass protecting center, pushed him back into the lap of JJ McCarthy, who then twisted out, and then I think Grenard wrapped him up for a sack. And it kind of goes back to our conversation 2 days ago that if you're looking for reasons why the Vikings can get to the Super Bowl or get to the NFC Championship game, the defense is probably going to be reason number one. So from that perspective, this is great. There's a lot of cohesion. There's players flashing in camp that you need to see flash in camp. And I'm sure we'll get to more of a Dallas Turner discussion here. But if the Dallas Turner that we've seen in the first week and a half of training camp shows up in the regular season, that dude is a stud. He has been, any questions about what happened in his rookie season there? Why wasn't he on the field more? Why didn't he produce more when he was out there? And again, these are practices. These are 11-on-11 practice sessions, but you do get to glean a lot in full team, full padded 11-on-11 action. And that Dallas Turner has been in the back, and he's getting more snaps than like almost anyone because he's playing all of the snaps with the twos. The second team edge rushers are Gabriel Murphy and Dallas Turner. And then he's playing a huge percentage of snaps with the ones when they're running out the sub packages and they put 3 edge rushers on the field, Van Ginkel, Grenard, and Dallas Turner. And that dude is flashing and getting by left and right tackles and flashing in the backfield and batting passes. Like, didn't he have a pick 6 at one point? Or he almost had one yesterday
and
for
playing
sure.
On special teams.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
His body looks different, Thor. Like, yeah, I would expect now. I think he is. I could put him on a very big year right now and be comfortable with that.
I'm back, and as you guys notice, my internet only glitches out when there's JJ slander being tossed out.
Oh,
on the show.
that's what happened.
Yeah,
okay.
The McCarthy's bang.
Yeah, but no, as far as Dallas Turner goes, the other first-round pick from that class, I expect a big season out of him, right? Like, you're going to assume all the snaps that were vacated by Patrick Jones, plus the snaps that Turner was already playing. Plus, then they're making a concerted effort to cook them up into some of these sub packages, these crazy things that Flores is doing. Between all that, and then you have primo edge depth. You have some of the best edge depth in the NFL as well. So you're guarded against that. But I think it's you're going to see an ascension of Dallas Turner this year. And I think, like, last year, you know, it was like, oh, you know, we use a second first round pick on this guy and we barely got to see him. And it's like, oh, you know, should we be concerned about this? I don't think at all. Dallas Turner was one of the youngest players in that draft class. You look at him against the other two edges, you know, Jared, that were taken in the first round, Latu and Jared Verse. Those guys were way, way older. Jared Verse came out of college. I think he was a starter in college for like 5 years. Jared Verse, multiple years older than Dallas Turner. There was things that Dallas Turner had to work on, right? I mean, he had to get bigger, and then he had to flesh out his game. You know, the repertoire of pass rushing moves, and then the smoothness and fluidity flipping between them when your first plan of attack is shut down. That was the thing you're going to work on with him, and then learning how to set the clean edge against the run as well. But they sort of spoon-fed him in year one as they got him up to speed. You worked on his body, you know, in the offseason and whatnot. Now he's going to become a valuable rotational player and a heavily used rotational player and situational player this coming season, and might get a bigger opportunity if there's an unfortunate injury. But he's going to play a lot of snaps either way.
Yeah, and so because he's on special teams, Matt Daniels, the special teams coordinator, talked yesterday and was asked about like Turner's progression there. And Matt brought up a really intriguing story, but again, this goes back to how young Turner was. And keep in mind, he was a star at Bama, which is at that time basically like the 33rd team in the National Football League. And Matt said every day this offseason when I came in, and he said the coaches get there around 6:30 or 7 o'clock. He said one of the first people I would see in the trainer's room getting ready this year was Dallas Turner. And basically, it's cliched, but it's important. His point was he's learned to be a professional. And like, that's the thing is, like, you play at Bama or you play at a big time college and now, hell, you're getting paid. I mean, you were before, but they didn't talk about it. But you play at a big time program and you're probably like, I'm a first round pick. I'm going to come in here, especially when you're young, right? So if you're not that old and you get here and it's all men, and more importantly too, just as important as the physicality is the schemes. Like Brian Flores is a scheme, and what he wants from you, if you can't do it, you're not going to play. And by the way, learning how to do it takes some time. So I think what we don't account for is, you know, there's a difference between a player who's not mature and never going to mature and doesn't really like football that much, just dominant in college because he was so good. Dallas Turner, I think, likes football absolutely, but he didn't have the skill set. He didn't have the knowledge to know where he needed to be. And that locker room, you know, Van Ginkel, Grenard, go down that list. You got a lot of veterans there that can show you if you're willing to listen. And I think that behind the scenes, that's going to be a very important part of the maturation of Dallas Turner.
The Dallas Turner selection was not made for the 2024 NFL season. That selection was made for down the road, and we're going to see it more this year, and then especially in the years ahead. But the verdict in the book on Dallas Turner is far from written and far from in.
Just circling back to one last thing from the McCarthy versus this ferocious defense conversation, when your internet there suspiciously kind of folded into itself.
Careful.
And
be careful.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. When
JJ's there. He's unplugging it. That's what's going on. He's like off camera. He's like,
it's like the movie Airplane, if anyone gets that reference. Is there a point of diminishing returns with, like, Brian Flores is just unleashing his defense against an offense that looks like it needs to start, you know, like on like Madden, you can start at rookie level and then like work your way up. It's like he's being thrown into the fastest, hardest level of a video game here. Can you sort that out and figure it out, just being blasted in the face with a fire hose? Or do they need to, hey, Brian, listen, dude, like, we get it, we know, but for a few of these sessions, we need a little more vanilla-based situation here so that JJ and company can work through this?
No, I don't think
keep the fire hose on.
Yeah, keep the fire hose on, sink or swim, and JJ is going to swim. You know, like early on here, again, coming off the injury, you're facing the live bullets, live action for the first time in a year and a half was the last. Well, outside of the Raiders game, but you know, it's been a while since he played football. But yeah, like you're not going to break JJ McCarthy, you know, and you know, for Vikings fans out there, you know, think about the Christian Ponder. You know, Christian Ponder, I seen him on a show or a podcast a couple months ago, and he was talking about like, oh, people don't realize my shoulder, there was more of an issue than people thought when I was coming out of FSU. And so it was a little bit harder for me and like all this different. And then when things started going badly, they kind of compounded, et cetera, et cetera. Christian Ponder was a guy that got inside of his own head, and the confidence, it just depreciated. And then everything sort of went into the tank. JJ McCarthy, it's not that kind of a thinker. It's the growth mindset kind of a guy where if you get him on 1 rep, you get him on 5 reps, you get him for an entire day of practice reps, he's in there with a smile after practice, and he wants to get right back at Brian Flores. Brian, you got me this time. Let's go get back after it tomorrow. It's a guy who hasn't seen some of these looks before, and against athletes of this caliber, you're going to start thinking as quick as them, but you have to see the looks. And, like Kirk Cousins said a couple years ago, he's not going to see looks like he was getting in practice during the season. And I think the same applies here. But yeah, you're not going to break JJ McCarthy.
So in his press conference he did before practice on Wednesday, McCarthy.
We want more camp notes.
Football.
McCarthy had some interesting stuff about also the layering of throws, which has become an important part of this camp. And his point was, and he's not wrong, when you miss a year, the touch of throws, like you got to rework that a bit. Like his arm is not going to desert him. But when you're talking about touch, that's not your arm strength. That's the touch on your passes. And he talked about that. And he also talked about the fact that he is at times, and it's a fine line to walk, but he's at times now purposely trying to take something off throws in practice. Now, his point was it's a competitive practice, so I'm not going to just take something off constantly. But he essentially said, because I asked him, I said, it seemed like you were trying to zip throws in a lot at the beginning of practices. And now the last week or the last few practices, it feels like there's more of a curveball or a changeup. You're taking something off the ball. And he said, I'm purposely trying to do that. So there are a lot of things here. And this is where I think the why do you keep statistics, sports dad, you're an idiot thing comes into play, because he is going to try to do different things. We are going to see situations where in the regular season, he probably completes a pass that he doesn't complete in training camp, but it's all part of a process. And that's what makes this so intriguing and important is where are you as far as comfort goes in every one of your types of throws, from screen passes, intermediate, deep shots. And that's sort of the game that he's playing here as far as trying to, he wants to look good, but he also wants to properly prepare. And that's what fans and people like us don't think about. He's not just trying to win every pass. He's trying to also see what he can do and can't do before he plays the Bears and they pick the pass off.
Yeah, that's right. And you go up the level and now you're an NFL starting quarterback. It's like when the baseball team takes an amateur pitcher that can throw 100 miles an hour. And then when you bring them up in the case of baseball development, it's in the minor leagues. The thing that you're teaching them is breaking pitches and changeup. You don't need to teach him how to throw at the fastball. He's already world class at that coming out of the box. And some of these nuanced things, it's for getting more clubs in your bag for when the situation calls for it on the field in an NFL game, right? Pat Mahomes back at Texas Tech, the reason that he was maligned coming, in his draft process was this guy's a swashbuckler and all he does is gun the ball down the field and do bombs and stuff like that. And we're never going to, that game's not going to translate to the NFL, whatever. He had to learn how to carry the other clubs in his bag, not only develop those clubs, but then learn when to take them out, which situations call for them. And that's the process going on right now with McCarthy.
We got more Judd's camp notes coming around the corner here. There's plenty more where this came from off of a festive practice yesterday. But 2 men in a truck. In fact, maybe you're an undrafted cornerback and your role is about to be elevated and you're looking for something more permanent. 2 men in a truck can help you with your next move.
Maybe Josh Metellus upgrading the home. Nice little contract extension there. So, yeah, you need to find someone to move. Hell, maybe I should let the Mackies maybe do the next 2 men in a truck.
We will be soon. I mean, I'm not going to encroach on your
that's okay.
reads, but we will be using 2 men in a truck here pretty soon. More details to come. Yeah.
So I use them for my move. Mackey's using for his move. I'm sure Josh Metellus and maybe Dwight McLaughlin could be using them in the future as well. You don't want to get your friends to do your move for you. Let the experts handle it. Go to 2 Men in a Truck. They'll get you the quote, no service fees, no hidden BS there. They're just going to give you the nice, easy process to make that move as easy for you. So go to twomeninatruck.com.
And since we're speaking about Josh Metellus' new contract, if you're looking for somewhere to store that money, North American Banking Company, Minnesota-based since 1998 with 6 locations across the Twin Cities. And I told you guys a few months back about just a really crappy experience with a nationally known bank that shall go nameless here, where I just needed to get a hold of a human being. I just needed like a human conversation about something, and it was somehow impossible. And that's one of the first things I noticed when connecting with North American Banking Company in the fall of 2024 is personal relationships, human connection, in addition to cutting-edge online tools that value the safety and security of your account. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, or you just signed a big fat contract and you're looking to do some moving and shaking with it, nabankcode.com/Mackey to learn more. nabankcode.com/Mackey, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Purple Daily presents Judd's Camp Notes. Here's your host, Judd Zolgad.
We're back from intermission.
Hey kids, hey everybody! It's Sports Dad with some more camp notes. Thanks for that setup.
Shout out listener Brady LaRock for his brilliant production work there.
Just the great pipes, very FM like too. I feel like,
dude, Thor. So Brady LaRock, who he does some audio production for his career. His dad was the in-house PA announcer for the Dallas Cowboys for a number of years.
Heck yeah.
The LaRock family of voiceover artists.
Texas Stadium, great
legend,
pipes.
Man.
Love
great
that.
Pipes right there. So, next page of Judd's Camp Notes. Let's talk about the cornerbacks, okay? The cornerbacks are a situation where I think that there's been lots of intrigue about how this is going to shake out. Now, the good news is Isaiah Rodgers, who had missed a couple practices because of general soreness, if that sounds familiar, Jimmy Butler, he was back on the field in pads yesterday. And so the first team corners, if you include the nickel, are Byron Murphy Jr. inside, Isaiah Rodgers outside, Jeff Okudah outside. But Dwight McLaughlin, who's playing with the special teams, UDFA in 2024, had his 3rd pick in 3 days. Now this was off of Max Brosmer, but Dwight McLaughlin, Thor, continues to flash. And I'm just curious. I mean, the Okudah thing, if it works, that's awesome. But I'm certainly not assuming it's going to work. And I'm assuming that the Vikings want to have their 3 best corners playing as much as possible. I'm wondering if Dwight McLaughlin is on the precipice of getting more first-team reps because he's playing like a guy who deserves it.
Yeah, and you could definitely see that Dwight McLaughlin was awesome in college. I mean, he started, I think, 3+ years in the SEC. Right, first at LSU and then went to Arkansas, and he was really good throughout his career. He has the measurables from a physical measurement perspective. Long, angular, outside press man cornerback with very, very long arms, and he knows how to use them. He's very physical. He blankets you. It's like getting whitewashed by paint. He's all over you off of the line, and it's just really difficult to sort of get angles on him and try to create leverage against him in order to try to get open. The only question that we had, and the reason that he fell out of the draft, was the athleticism metrics on him. But I think he has proven that he's at least athletic enough for it not to be nullifying. And that's where the skill of his game, comes into play. And when you test him and he's close to that window, he has those long arms. And he's got very good ball skills as well. So that's a guy that I'm intrigued by as well. And he's a perfect fit for the Flores offense, or for defense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. I think my biggest hesitation with McLaughlin had nothing to do with his measurables or how good he was in college. It was about the fact that he went undrafted as a cornerback. And I just don't, anecdotally, I just didn't really think that there was that many undrafted high-end cornerbacks, like multi-year starting cornerbacks in the last 20 years in the NFL. And it's very much a first, second, third round position. You got to have a certain level of talent and measurables and stuff to hang with receivers and be reactionary. But I think there's a lot more high-end undrafted cornerbacks in the last 20 years than I certainly thought. Chris Harris Jr. with Denver for a decade was excellent. Brent Grimes, who Brent Grimes was a multi-time Pro Bowler with Miami like 7-8 years ago before Brian Flores got there. Tremont Williams was undrafted. Kenny Moore from the Colts was undrafted. Malcolm Butler, Super Bowl hero Malcolm Butler, was undrafted and a pretty high-end player for at least a little bit. Most recently, I would say Charvarius Ward with Kansas City and San Francisco is a name that flashes. So there's definitely dudes out there that go undrafted somehow at that position. Now, there's a lot more that go undrafted and you never hear from them after the first round of cuts ever again. But I think that's what he's fighting, Thor, is can he become a starting caliber cornerback despite 7 rounds of teams passing on him, Dwight McGlothern.
Yeah.
And Zemiah Vaughn, I'll throw his name out there too. He's had a good camp.
And very much in the same vein. I mean, they're sort of cut from the same cloth with their play style, the big boundary corners that get their hands on you. But yeah, like McGlothern coming out 6'2", 185, but the RAS was 45th percentile, and that's obviously what killed him. 4.47 40, not terrible, but he had a 32-inch vertical, which is really bad. The broad jump was bad too. It was the idea that he lacked the explosion, right? And then off the line that the receivers, you can't get your hands on them. All of a sudden they're running free and you're not gonna be able to catch up, and that sort of stuff. But his last year on campus, Dwight McGlothern, 91.3 PFF grade overall for that season. And again, acquitted himself really well in the seasons leading up to that. He has plenty of experience against NFL receivers from college, right? I mean, he was invariably the cornerback 1 on the teams that he was on and would be matched up against that, and was very, very good. And again, the question about his game, the athleticism thing, he has shown that it is not nullifying. That's a guy who's going to hang around for a while.
I got more.
Oh, we want more camp notes.
Football.
Obligatory mention. In fact, Phil brought this player up yesterday because I don't think he had a pick previously in camp, but he's a guy who's always around the football, and he's a sports dad special. This guy the sports dad found. There's Johnny Munt, and on defense, Theo Jackson. And all 4 quarterbacks, so Pookie, Sam Howell, Brett Rippon, and Max Brosmer threw picks during practice. And the final play of the practice was 2-minute drill, second team versus second team, I believe it was. And Sam Howell tries to throw a ball, not great, high over the middle. Theo Jackson picks it off. So there is your Theo Jackson is always around the ball.
Back.
He's gonna play. Now, is he gonna play as much as Cam Bynum did? No, I don't think so. I think they're gonna have different packages too. I'm not so sure that they're not going to alter things a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Metellus play a little bit more traditional safety.
I was going to ask you that. First week of practice, feels like Metellus is playing back more often than in the last couple of years.
He is, and here's what I think we've got. I think because the personnel just continues to improve, it allows you to have different packages with different guys and different position groups now. Like, I think the first year, Flores literally looked at his personnel, right? And I'm not saying that it was all crap. It certainly wasn't. But I also think he said, okay, I've sort of got the Swiss Army knife in Metellus. I'm going to move him around, and it worked great. But for instance, now, I think that 3-edge look is going to become a staple. And that might put Turner at a linebacker, off ball at times, or somebody else. So I'm not saying it's going to be traditional, because it's not. Brian Flores' defense are not traditional. But I also think Metellus is going to play more traditional safety with Harry back there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Theo Jackson's going to get a ton of snaps, especially if, there's an injury. But I don't think it's going to look like it did with Bynum.
For sure. Yeah. And you think about that stuff within the box there, moving Metellus back, whatnot, like you can create some snaps for that, again, situationally, by having the 3 edge rushers on the field. Just as one example, I think, doing some of that stuff, getting Turner on the field more, you allow the safeties to stay back. You don't have to bring as many guys up. So that could be one extra manifestation of that.
Yeah. How many right now, just off the top of our heads, how many players on that defense are almost certainly going to get like significant snaps? I mean, it's far more than 11. Right?
I think at linebacker, I think off ball, look for, I've seen this a little bit, but I just have I've got an inkling about this.
Kobe King?
No, Eric Wilson, special teams ace. Look at his PFF pass grades, and then look at Ivan Pace's. And I could see Blake Cashman and Eric Wilson. I mean, Wilson was here with Zimmer, and he's a special teams guy, and he did play quite a bit on defense. But if you look at, he sort of established himself now as a reliable off-ball linebacker as well. And they did use guys that they had who are now gone last year a little bit. I would not be shocked if Eric Wilson comes in on passing downs and Pace comes out. And so, like, I do think there's going to be moves like that. Like, the chessboard is changing.
Yeah, with the coverage utility there, you love to see it. And then the pass rushing, you would assume that some of the extra pass down reps from that spot are going to go to Dallas Turner. Right. Like, and that's a pretty damn good player when it's like, we're going to Frankenstein monster Ivan Pace's run defense with Wilson's coverage with Dallas Turner's coming forward on the blitz.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's like they've continued to systematically fill the gaps, the weakness gaps, while maintaining and not letting go of the strengths. Like, just because Ivan Pace is kind of a first, second down backer doesn't mean that you need to replace him with someone who's a full, like, okay, cool. Like a lot of Ivan Pace on first and second down and run situations. And then he'll come out the field. He'll be a 600 snap guy instead of a 1,000 snap guy or whatever it winds up being.
Yeah. And Phil, I think this is speaking to some of the cleverness from this offseason with the Vikings and the moves they made. There was, you had your certain amount of like holes in the starting lineup where we got to get aggressive with that. The interior offensive line, the interior defensive line get super duper aggressive. But I thought it was really neat how the Vikings, so that's sort of from the treetops, but then they get sort of into the weeds and some of these situations, specific or circumstantial things, they're shoring up these weaknesses with mix and match guys. Jordan Mason was the answer to the short yardage thing, and then keeping Aaron Jones more fresh down the stretch. That between the tackle stuff. You're mentioning Wilson being used to mix and match. We can help out the up-ball linebacking core coverage. They did that at a whole bunch of different positions. Wide receiver with whether it's Rondale Moore, whether it's Ty Felton, of like our boundary receivers are some of the best route runners in the NFL. They will be able to win downfield. Hawkinson could take this team. We could use a manufactured touch situation specific wide receiver for concepts like that. So they did a really good job of sort of going the flashy moves is we talked about a lot, but some of these in the weed moves, they directly address like a sort of micro issue on last year's Vikings team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a couple more for us?
I got a couple more. Oh yeah.
Judd's camp notes. We can spill over to tomorrow.
Well, I've got a couple more, but so as bad as things went for really the majority of the offenses on Wednesday, Thor. The 2-minute drill this time with 1v1 was not bad. In fact, the first two passes McCarthy threw were completions to Naylor. They began to matriculate the ball down the field. Now, I will say this. Of all the things, like McCarthy was under duress quite a bit. And there were some things where, like, the line probably just has to hopefully see what the schemes are, what the stunts are, and hold up better. My least favorite play by McCarthy of the day came in the 2-minute drill where he was under duress. He's running towards the sideline, and I think Phil and I are assuming, okay, he's going to stop the clock. He's going to get out of bounds. He literally torques his body as he's getting to the sideline and throws back across the field for a receiver, and Blake Cashman had a damn near pick. That ball can't be thrown. And then what's bad about that is bad beat for McCarthy there. And then one of the worst write that down beats in the history of write that down occurred. Phil, I'm going to let you explain how the 2-minute drill ended. And by the way, don't forget, your good friend, Judd Zolgad, a.k.a. the Sports Dad, tried to help you on this. And so did Declan.
I did too.
I knew it. So I made the prediction on Write That Down yesterday that JJ McCarthy and the first team offense would bounce back after getting destroyed in the 2-minute drill 2 days ago, where they went backwards like 8 yards. It was just a massacre. I said the next time they do a full padded 2-minute drill, they will score points because they always start at like their own 30-yard line or whatever, and then you got to get into either field goal range or score a touchdown. And so he hits Jalen Naylor on a couple passes. He had the one near interception thrown across his body.
Couple runs, yeah, looked good.
Couple of runs, but he had they ran cleverly. They were like they had gone past midfield to like maybe the 45 or like probably the 40-yard line. So they're on the fringe of field goal range. And they dial up a draw play to Jordan Mason, which I loved. And this is like probably 35 seconds left. I think they had one timeout left or something. And they dial up a draw play. Jordan Mason, huge wide open hole up to the right side, down the hash marks, and he gets out of bounds. And I will say, I think he got out of bounds inside the 20. And they spotted it at the 21. I'd love to see the tape of it. But I said, Judd said, hey, sometimes they don't finish with the actual field goal. So, like, if they stop the drive once they're in field goal range, what's the yard line? I said, if they get it inside the 20 and they stop the drive, then it'll count. They spotted the ball at the 21, and nowhere was Will Reichert warming up anywhere. They just brought the offense off the field and put the twos in there. 1 yard away from a correct write that down prediction yesterday. But it was, yeah, I mean, among a lot of ugly stuff, with some clever play calling, a couple nice passes by McCarthy, they did redeem themselves, the first team offense against the first team defense, by getting inside. And they would have, I think they had some time left too, and they just stopped the drill. So they did get one over at the very end of practice, Thor. So we'll take it. And I got screwed out of it, but that's par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, we got to go back to the tape on that one. You know, I throw in the challenge flag. Maybe we can get a reversal there. Just like we should have gotten in the last regular season against the Rams when that guy almost ripped Darnold's head off and they didn't throw the flag. Sometimes mistakes are made on a football field, and this time it cost Phil, and you hate to see that.
The mistake was Phil's. He didn't listen to us. Declan and I tried to tell him, because Reichert kicked the day before, so they don't like you don't kick back-to-back days.
Why? What are they doing? Like they weren't even out there.
No,
what's Will Reichert doing yesterday?
I'm just telling you, I knew that. I tried to help you.
Oh, he can't kick back-to-back days. Somebody might get too hot.
Yeah, right. Will the throw will be fine.
Team.
He was the best kicker recruit coming out in his class, and then he kicked at Hoover High in high school. It was like this power.
Prodigy, man.
All he does is kick. Just let him kick. He would have gone out if he knew Mackey had stuff on the line.
Yeah, all he does is kick, unless it's Wednesday at practice apparently, and we don't.
And Mackey needs him, and it's like, please.
Perhaps he's a fan of the show, and he's like, I'm going to screw Mackey. I like Judd or Declan more.
It's an inside. Wow. Emmanuel Clase in baseball and Will Reichert in football.
Wow.
Oh man. All right. We got time for like one more nugget. One more morsel.
I'm going to combine two. First of all, Justin Jefferson's supposed to be reevaluated this week. He's been out on the field consistently with that mild hamstring strain. I think he looks fine. O'Connell was asked about this a couple days ago, and it remains very like he wants him to practice, but he just keeps saying that there's plenty of time before the opener. And by the way, I don't blame the Vikings, however long they keep Jefferson out to assure that he's healthy by the opener and going on. But that being said, I do think that there is a conversation of it sure would be nice to have Jefferson, when the bullets are flying like they have been the past two times in pads, to be out there. The last thing, when Matt Daniels talked, I think it was for the first time in training camp, when the special teams coordinator talks, Sports Dad wants to know what the depth chart is. Who are you going to use here and there? I have not seen, the last time I saw the kickoff returns, you guys, I did not see Rondale Moore on kickoff return. He said he is. But as of right now, I'm going with Rondale Moore is your punt returner. And I think Ty Felton and Ty Chandler right now, Ty Chandler being the blocker, Ty Felton being the guy that they want the ball in his hands, are the kickoff return guys. So my early odds are Ty Felton's going to touch the ball on kickoffs, and Rondale Moore is going to get the ball on punt return.
Yeah, Thor, I'm maybe I'm still high off of like 2018 Purdue or something, but I want to see Rondale Moore in this ecosystem. Like I want to see what it looks like.
Rondale Moore is, I mean, he single-handedly won games at Purdue. I remember a huge upset they had that year against Ohio State, where it was Rondale Moore against the entire Buckeye Nation. It was like Jon Snow and all the horses are coming, and Rondale Moore beat him, like basically by himself. He's so good with the ball in his hands. He's small, of course, but he's like a muscle hamster, right? I mean, he's really well built. He's kind of the pint-sized guy, like a trash compactor. And when he gets going north-south, he runs with a little bit of power, and he's shifty as well. It's just about getting the ball in his hands, right? And Going back to the thing of Vikings looking for a manufactured touch guy, Rondale Moore absolutely could function as that. If he gets healthy, I think Felton, and Felton's more explosive straight line, but they're different kinds of guys, right? Like Felton's more angular and explosive in the long speed, whereas Rondale's that sort of muscle hamster guy who's going to burrow forward for yards.
Burrow forward for yards. Let's go.
Football.
Just burrowing forward. Getting up, putting a foot in the ground. Let's do it. Thor, awesome stuff, man. It's too bad that your internet gets sabotaged every time we start to criticize your guy JJ McCarthy, but we'll see what practice looks like.
Yeah, I'll call the internet company about that one.
Yeah.
You can find more of Thor, by the way, Thor KU on Twitter /X, and also pumping out content, a lot of draft related content all year round at MatthewBerry'sFantasyLife.com. So we love you, Thor. Happy Thor's Day to you. And we'll do it again next week, man. Great stuff.
Appreciate you guys.
For Judd's Camp Notes, for Thor, for Dex, I'm Phil. This is Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you guys.